Yo, uh, stop doom scrolling. 5 tips to listen to music albums. This will guarantee to make you better than Anthony Fantano, whatever. So this is 5 steps you can call it a cycle. You want to. This is really simple. First step, get any background context info about the album. It just provides a better, cause like every single good album, there will be a reason behind the creation of the album. It could be, for example, like the author's pursuit for the certain goal, or this frustration to the social issue, or to this expression. It just helps you find the theme surrounding, which is incredibly important because what we're looking for here is an album. It's essentially a an organized list of songs. And so cohesion is really important, right? Where like how does this author puts these songs, or what meanings does the song overall contribute to a bigger picture, to the bigger meaning. And essentially when you do the research, you already are giving yourself a head start slash early impressions of not just the album but also the author. Like what was the author in the position of their life that they felt the urge to make this, or like what external factor caused them to decide to create this musical piece. And yeah, everything it must comes from a reason of its own. And then by researching about it and understanding, oh, this is what this author does, it gets you from this, which you just ram in head first into the album, which is okay, sure. But when you do some just a little bit of extra research, like 2, 3 minutes of researching, looking at the background context of the album, you become this Patrick. You become a scientist. You become like the big nerd. You know all whatever. Anyways, so this is anything before that. This steps next the next steps 2, 3 is gonna be during, and 4 is gonna be after. So this is gonna be before, during, and after. Alright. So let's go through. Second thing is you just gotta skim the artist's focus of the album. The it usually bounces between production and lyricism, or sometimes even both, in which they split it half and half. So evaluate the emphasis on the author of the focus. For example, the album can be 40% production, 60% lyricism and its meaning from it, or 90% production, 10% lyricism. It helps you to view the music albums more on the own artist's view. You're putting yourself in their boots, so you can understand like exactly what the meaning is going from. For example, if I'm giving an album, for example, like in here is In Rainbows by Radiohead, if you're focusing really much on like lyricism, I think that's great. But when you see that the runtime of instrumentals is like 80%, 60, 80% of the song, I think that you really the uh like Radiohead really wants you to focus on the instrumentals and the meanings of it, really more than the meanings of it, on like the definitions of the lyrics. I mean, both of them are important, but you gotta try to listen to it to see like what becomes more important. Or it could be like fully instrumental songs like Miles Davis kind of blue. Like the entire thing is just a jazz album without a single lyric into it. It's still an amazing album though. This is an album by Sigur Rós. I can't really spell it, but yeah, just search it up. And this is Godspeed You Black Emperor. It's like something Ascends to Heaven. It's a beautiful album also. And then you have really these are all like instrumental type of focus albums. You see, and these are ones that they are more focused on the lyricism. They're more focused on like conveying the meanings through the means of lyrics, or showing off of like their artistical or like language skills. You have Matt Villain here. Matt Villain here, it's an amazing piece of hip hop artwork. You have Imagine the Disc here, Fiona Apple's Fetch the Bolt Cutters, and Johnny Mitchell's Blue. These are all great examples. So by having this, why does this provide with this? Because I believe that by understanding like the artist's focus, you're able to go to the third step, which is looking at the cohesive theme. And by putting yourself into like zoning yourself into what are you looking for in this specific album first, it helps you to like remove like the comparison, but also look at the album more objectively. Because I believe that albums they're really different, especially from each other, and thus it's a great way for us to freshen our minds whenever we think of a new album. So here's the third one. We look at the album through a cohesive theme. As I've explained from this first right before, albums they usually have like a theme. It's something that it trails from the start of the album to the end of the album. It really helps you zone in the album more. Like what theme is it trying to convey? What meaning it is trying to convey? It helps you dig through like expressions, feelings that the listener may perceive much clearer, and it's an absolute necessity for amazing albums. An absolute necessity doesn't mean that like it is doesn't mean that like it's required to do so. There's some albums that do not really have a cohesive theme or have multiple themes, which I'll explain later on, that also excel in their own ways, but it has to be something that it's unique or has unique characteristics of the album. So cohesive theme, the Great Side of the Great Gig in the Sky by Pink Floyd has a theme orchestrating all along. It's also instrumental, so I think that they really play the meanings more on like the feelings of the audio. I think it's an amazing album. You have Green Day with American Idiot, My Chemical Romance, The Backfire. If you notice, all few of these albums are rock, and because rock albums tend to carry, especially on the history, carry more meaning and usually follows a formulaic thing of like what issue do they felt oppressed and what issue do they feel is a concern to society and try to convey that through means of rock. I think rock is an amazing genre to convey that. Or lack of a cohesive theme, then the album may one be a more mixtape. Keep that in mind when listening through. A mixtape album is different. A mixtape is just a bunch of songs you slap together and then they sound good. It's like organized chaos. I like to think mixtape as an organized chaos version of album. Of course, with JPEG Mafia's Offline here, it's an amazing album. Although I would consider it more of a mixtape since these are all of like his great songs, jumbled them together into one album. The reasoning is because his label he had some problem with his label and had to publish like lots of like albums and EPs. So yeah, that's what he did. It can have at least two themes. It may because the album wants to disperse out the themes in just a more fascinating way to really understand more. For example, you have Ego here by Tyler the Creator. It's an album that has it's when you look at it in like the big picture, it really shows of like the cycle, like the toxic cycle of a situationship. It really goes on between like, oh, I love life from the first half and the second half, like I hate life. So it has two themes. I would love you guys to look through it. Or the third one, it's the worst option. It can just be a compilation of songs put together to be a quote unquote album, Morgan Wallen. If you know, you know. Alright. So fourth one, you extract the value from the music album. This is after you have like listened to the entirety. You have to understand that these albums they usually carry yourself like emotional attachment. Like what feeling do you get after you listen to these albums? Do you feel amazed, loved, or do you feel saddening, disheartened, or just angry, or just happy, a vibe, joyful, you know? It can also be a call in action to individuals to systems. I think that hip hop, rock, I think that every single genre explains this, but some genres try to show that more, so their barriers, you know, the standards are a bit higher, but also look for like what are they calling out for. And look at the complexity and depth of the album. Is this album really touching the souls, touching the hearts of you? Is it really good? Is it something that blows your mind away? Is that this is what human make? Like, dang, this instrument is so sick. This lyrical system is so mind blowing. And then with the uniqueness of it, I think that it can create like a really well rounded album. So try to look for a few of these. Obviously, these are examples you can try to look for. Obviously, this skim through you look at our author's focus and you based on this. I think these are like really related to each other. Steps 2 and steps 4 and steps 2 it really paves the way on like how we're judging this album because of course like to be able to be critical of an album you must have like a certain like analysis like not just much but a certain analysis of like what does this album makes me feel before and after it. By the way, I think a really good tip on this fourth question is ask yourself what does this album make me feel before and after listening to it. I think that it will provide you a lot of like answers that you can plug in onto the extract of value. And then the fifth step, reflection. This is I think that this part is really not necessary, but if you really are in depth into music albums, you can jot down some notes, thoughts, anything you find particularly interesting. It just helps you to make like you know like refresh your mind whenever you want to do it or second listen. And also check yourself. Will you be willing to listen to this album the second time? If so, do not hesitate to run the cycle again. It is amazing if you can run it back the second time. If not, you can see what aspects can the album to improve to hook you back on. And obviously, I think it must be said unheard, but like some albums may not be suited for you, and that's fine. But as long as you can provide a concrete reason for why this album, well, why you think this album is good, slash not good, slash not suitable, then you will be able to, express yourself further onto a more objective view of the album, and you will become Albert Einstein here. Yep. I think after going through 4 of these steps, it's pretty easy for you to get to the reflection part, and it just helps you to like really reorganize your thoughts, or you can find better meanings of the albums overall. So that'll be it for today. How many minutes was it? Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Stop doom scrolling and learn this whole cycle. Yep. That'll be it today. Thank you.